Hello, and welcome to the seventh episode of Two Chicks, One Show. My name is Tricia Ennis. She is Kait Calabro. We are the Two Chicks. This week's One Show, as it has been for the last 6 weeks, is Outlander. This week we'll be talking about the wedding. And just so everybody is on the same page, if you guys want to participate in the conversation that we are having, you can feel free to comment if you are on the Google Hangout down below, if you are on the YouTube page, down in those comments. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, feel free to comment below and we will respond. Or on Twitter using the hashtag #2ChicksOneShow with numbers, which you can read right below our names, or with our Twitter usernames, which are right there too. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into the wedding.
All right, so Jamie and Claire get married in this episode to one of the most beautiful weddings I've seen being put together within like maybe 3 hours. Jamie also further proves how perfect he is with his 3 magical requests for his big day. Claire and Jamie finally do the deed a lot, and we get like this awkward, weird moment between Claire and Dougal. Claire kind of forgets about Frank until she drops a ring, and then is like, oh shit, I'm married to 2 men. So that was the wedding.
Well, literally what she does. She has her ring to Jamie on her right hand, and she has her ring for Frank on her left hand, and she holds her 2 hands in front of her, and it's like, oh, really? Could you get any more on the nose?
Actually, I think it's opposite, because her current marriage ring would be on her left.
No, it's on her right hand.
Oh, really?
The whole episode, I was like, it's on her right hand. That's very strange. In Europe, they do that. Like in France and stuff, your wedding ring goes on your right hand. But I have no idea about Scotland. Some Scottish people, tell me below.
Technically speaking, in a scientific thing, do you know why why it goes on this finger?
Not a clue.
Because now I don't know, maybe it's an old wives' tale. I'm gonna pretend it's scientific, but someone told me that your left finger, ring finger, is the only finger that has a vein directly to your heart. Now that could be just full of shit.
I think that's probably full of shit.
I like to believe it because it's like whimsical, but like,
of course you do. But anyway, so the big deal with this episode was sort of the sexual education of Jamie, but also the idea that they honestly don't know anything about each other. Really, like you don't really think about it. She doesn't even know his real name, and she finally gets to learn all this stuff. And I thought that they structured the episode really beautifully to like drive that whole idea home. Honestly, it should have been called The Wedding Night.
Yeah.
The wedding. So I thought, they did a great job. They started the episode with them already married, and then had them talk to each other for the whole episode, and like relate what they did the day before.
Yeah. It was interesting. It was like, at first, like, you always, like, I know that we weren't going to not see the wedding, but at first I'm like, God, why are we starting off like this? I want to see the wedding. And then, like, yeah, eventually, does that. It's very Aaron Sorkin of them.
Yeah.
He does
all episodes like, a lot of his episodes like that. I've been watching a lot of the newsrooms, so yes.
It's a very Aaron Sorkin structure.
It is. Oh my goodness. But it was really cool. I liked that we got to see both of them leading up to the wedding, told from their own perspectives, and also that we got to see them sort of, I don't know if you can necessarily say see them fall in love, but certainly see them get to know each other and start that process.
Yeah, I think it was a transition from like that awkward friendships as flirting into like, oh my God, we're actually married now. We should actually, maybe have a little chat, find out about each other, Yeah,
and also it was interesting to see the 2 different perspectives. Like Jamie obviously was kind of into it the whole time. Like he liked Claire. We knew he liked Claire. We sort of saw the flirtation and the, not being entirely sure of himself around her, and the fact that he was willing to marry her and that he wanted to protect her and all that. So it was obvious, at least to the audience, that he really did care about her. But for her, she's still really holding on to Frank, even in the beginning.
Yeah. When you see her earlier on during the day of the wedding, she's still, she's hungover. She's not like really feeling it. She's completely nervous when they show up at the church. You know, she does that whole like symbolic thing where she takes off her ring and she like sticks it in her, you know, bodice or whatever. And you know, she's marrying a man she doesn't even know his name. Like it was very, I think it was an overwhelming experience for her.
I think it definitely was an overwhelming, and that's I think that's the right word, is that she didn't have any other options. She did it because she
Yeah.
had to. And like if she hadn't, she probably would have died or become a prisoner or worse. And I thought that was really well done. Like that we didn't even see her do that until probably 2/3 of the way through the episode.
Yeah.
At the beginning, it's just her obviously not feeling very well about it. And when she and Jamie finally do have sex the first time, she tells him that she liked it, that she enjoyed it, and then in her head we hear her think, you know, I'm an adulterer. And
Yeah, she automatically felt guilty because she enjoyed intercourse with Jamie.
even as
And,
brief and probably not that great as it
yeah,
seemed to
but,
have been
you know, give him a break.
this time.
She did enjoy it, and
Yeah.
then she automatically was like, felt completely guilty about it.
And then over the course of the episode, they start talking more, and as you were saying, he tells her about these three demands that he had for the wedding. If he was going to do what he
Which
had to.
was so freaking cute. And like him retelling the story of like, this was, I just want to say, this was the first time so far in the series that we have seen things not directly through Claire's point of view. They're being told to Claire by Jamie, so that's how we're hearing them, but they're retellings. Claire wasn't there, so this is the first time we're seeing storylines that aren't through Claire's eyes.
Yeah, that weren't witnessed by Claire. It's
Yeah.
just Jamie telling her what happened, which I
Which I
thought was
think
kind of cool too.
it's cool and it's interesting. I wonder how much, because it has like really been like we're seeing what Claire's saying, that if this is now going to be more constant or if we're going to go back to only seeing what Claire sees.
Or if something happens that we need to see, if it's going to have to be relayed to Claire. I
Yeah.
don't mind the idea of only seeing things from Claire's perspective because I like Claire's perspective, because it's
Yeah.
kind of ours too, and not getting the whole story always makes the story more interesting. But at the same time, it's always fun to see things from other people's perspective, to have a little bit of dramatic irony, where like
Yeah.
you know in advance that this is not going to happen, or this isn't going to work, or that this person's plotting against this other person. So that's always fun, but at the same time, being in the dark is also kind of fun. It's like the argument of like to spoil or not to spoil
Yeah.
with shows. So it will be interesting. And you said, I didn't see the preview because I watched the show on demand, but you said the preview included more stuff that we're going to see not from Claire's perspective.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little bit later when we go
We
into
can, yes. So next week we have that to look forward to. The one weird part, and you mentioned this in the recap, was Dougal.
Yeah. Like
That whole time, I literally was sitting there going, what are you doing?
and like it wasn't even like Dougal was weird, but what I thought was weird that like she just walked around like out and just like Jamie's kilt wrapped around like she was naked. Like she just had the
Well,
kilt.
she was wearing the underdress thing, which, okay, she was basically naked, but she had the kilt also wrapped around her.
Oh, I thought she just had the kilt wrapped around.
No, she had the dress on, but it was sort of like off her shoulder, and she was
Okay.
but and then she was also wearing the kilt, which I thought was cute.
Mhm.
And I think was the first sort of step toward her letting go of Frank, at least briefly.
Yes.
But Dougal's weird the whole episode.
Yeah.
I think he's jealous.
Like he could have been the one that married Claire. Like there was no like I guess it wouldn't look great if he did want to become the clan leader that he like married a witch slash possible English spy slash just an English lady.
Yeah,
But,
and especially because he would probably be asked later, like, why didn't you just have Jamie do it? Or Jamie volunteered.
I don't know because you see in that like the retelling, like Dougal goes to him about it, goes to Jamie about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's jealous. I don't think he's necessarily jealous that Jamie got Claire. I think he's jealous that Jamie is married and he isn't.
That could be it. I don't know if it's necessarily. I don't think he's jealous of Jamie. I think he has feelings for Claire that he doesn't understand.
Okay. Like he's
So,
intrigued by her, and
yeah, like I think it's just he's intrigued.
I just thought of a thing that we learned over the course of the episode that is big news for you and me. The
What?
bearded bestie has a name.
Oh my god, I forgot to put that in my notes. I know.
The
I don't know
bearded
what
bestie's
it
name is Rupert.
is. Is what?
Rupert.
No, it's not Rupert.
Yes, it is.
Are we thinking? No, Rupert's the other drunk guy.
No, Rupert. He's a cousin.
Rupert is like the Angus's bestie.
Crap! I'm so confused now. Which one's the bearded bestie?
You do not know which bearded bestie I'm talking
No,
about?
I know which one you're talking about. Wait, what's his name?
It starts with an M. It's like
I could have sworn it was Rupert. Okay.
Lutok or something. Like it's weird. Here, I am.
Well, anyway, he has a name. Everybody's got names now.
Yes, the bearded bestie's name was revealed, but we're thinking of two different people.
We are thinking of two different people. Apparently, I just wasn't paying enough attention during that
Rupert
scene.
is the one that I think has sex with goats.
Yeah, you might be right about that. I have to rewatch the episode to make sure. We'll just keep calling them the bearded bestie and Angus's best friend.
Angus's friend is Rupert.
Okay, you wrote that down?
Yeah, I know that. I know.
We're only seeing your forehead, just so you're aware.
Oh, sorry. It's because I'm looking for bearded bestie's name. He like has a really bad IMDb page because I've looked this up before.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so bearded bestie has a name, but we're gonna keep calling him bearded bestie.
I have no idea how to say it. I can spell it for you.
Gaelic?
Yeah, like hardcore, man.
Like lots of vowels.
Letters you would never think would be next to each other.
Is there a Y in a weird place?
No, but there's just like a random G.
Well, okay, that is Gaelic for you. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Dougal is weird. I think he's jealous. I think he's jealous that Jamie has a wife. You think he's jealous because he likes Claire, but he doesn't understand it.
Yeah, I think he's just intrigued by Claire and like he just has weird emotions. I definitely think he's attracted to Claire. I don't think it. So we'll see.
Okay, we will. But yeah, he like is all. You don't have to just sleep with Jamie. You can sleep with me too. And she's like,
just because you're married.
She's like, but I'm married to Jamie.
And I'm married to Frank.
And that guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course and then they have sex again, and it's like way better.
They have a lot.
They have a lot of sex, and there's a lot of nakedness, but
yeah,
they do a lot of really creative framing so that you never see.
Yeah, like it wasn't uncomfortable. Like it wasn't.
Well, considering who you were watching it with, it's not uncomfortable.
Yes, I watched the episode with my 76-year-old grandmother. This is her first time watching Outlander, and she goes, "Oh, I thought there'd be more to the show than sex." And I was like, "Oh, it's just this episode." She's never seen Game of Thrones, clearly, because she would probably be.
Game of Thrones is a lot of sex with no plot. This at least had a reason for it.
Yes, this is true.
Yeah, and that's something I still respect Outlander a lot for. That like this episode, we were expecting it. It was there, and it was fine. It was mutual for the most part too.
Yeah.
And I thought it was well done. It was tasteful. I'm always curious for actors.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
But then again, they're also actors. They're professionals, and
I think it's weird because you're like, it's choreographed.
And there's people and lights and cameras.
Yeah. I think once you get past like the nakedness, you're just like, whatever.
The nakedness and the weird platonic relationship that you now have to pretend isn't.
Yeah.
It's gotta be weird. But yeah, so I mean, there wasn't a ton to this episode plot-wise. There was a little character-wise. We got to know Jamie and Claire together a lot. We already know a lot about Claire, but we never knew a lot about Jamie, and we still actually don't personally know that much about Jamie.
Yeah, like we know like his name now. We know like his clan's colors and like their pin. We know that Jamie's mom passed away, and we also know that Jamie's mom wasn't supposed to marry Jamie's father. Dougal and Colm clearly did not want that marriage to happen. So maybe that has something to do with their kind of dislike towards Jamie
They're
sometimes,
very
harshness. Yeah, like apparently like he was telling her like she ran out of the castle one night with like Jamie's dad and they like got married and blah blah blah. So that was fun. But other than that, we didn't really learn anything
Yeah,
crazy.
most of his conversation was sort of blurred into a montage with her talking over it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, we don't need to know Jamie's life story. It probably would have gotten boring.
Hmm.
I
Just
still,
take off your clothes.
yeah, just get naked. Um, I still find Jamie incredibly boring because he's so freaking perfect.
Yeah, like even those the three request things.
Yeah,
It was like, okay, he requests like you had like I'll marry Claire because it was like we were really twisting his damn arm. If
right,
I get to
exactly.
do it three ways, she gets a dress. I get this ring, this key, which I think there has to be more to the key.
Oh, there's so much more to the key. We just
Yeah,
don't know about it.
yeah, the key that Rupert pays for. Rupert
Yeah.
doesn't pay for the key. Only Rupert.
Only
Rupert pays for it, and then it has to be in a church. And then he borrows Bearded Bestie's kilt, which is his colors, and it's like very extravagant. And then he gives Claire his mother's pearls. It was very
He
romantic.
obviously thought about it a lot. He says he only plans to marry once. I mean, he's a good Catholic boy.
Yeah,
Uh, so he's perfect still. He still has no freaking flaws. It's just as attractive as he is, like it's just one of those things. He feels very much like a boy,
yeah.
and I think that's part of my problem. It's not that I don't like him. I think he's fine. He just feels like a boy.
He doesn't look like one though.
He certainly doesn't look like a boy, but he feels like a boy. Maybe not Claire.
Not after that night.
Not after that. But just in characterization, and they say that in that little after, like behind Outlander
Yeah.
thing, where that scene where you see him at the wedding when he's all cleaned up and he looks very respectable. That's him transitioning from a boy to a man, and I'm like,
Okay.
okay,
You would
sure.
think like maybe like once he killed someone, he'd become a man.
Well, I don't like to think that men have to kill, but
No, but I mean like he's
I
a
just think I think once he not even becomes argumentative, but sort of feels like he has opinions, maybe, or that he I don't know. There's just something that isn't. I'm not sold on Jamie yet, and not in the same way that I'm sold on someone like Frank or even Dougal. I like Dougal, even though he's got some weirdness in this episode. Before this episode, I liked him a lot more.
He was just weird. It was just weird.
It was very bizarre. I feel like I'm gonna go back to liking him.
Yeah.
Well, because I do. I think he's really interesting.
He
But mm,
he's something. It was just odd.
it was very weird. I don't know if he was just like super drunk or
Like I feel like he was sober. Like I feel like he wasn't even like I don't know if they're ever really sober, but I'm saying like I feel like
Scottish.
he wasn't like when they ran into the hallway during the gathering that kind of way. Like I think he was conscious of what he was doing and what he was saying.
Oh, yeah, I think he was conscious of what he was doing. I don't know if he necessarily would have said it if he hadn't been drinking or something.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
he seems more reserved than that.
Yeah, he was just the whole episode. He was weird. Like when Jamie came down the first time, he's like, "Oh, aren't you gonna thank me?"
Yeah,
Then
which is why I feel like he's jealous of their marriage, not so much her.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I mean, we will find out. Next week is the mid-season finale.
Yes.
And I don't know what was in that preview. Like I said earlier, I did not see it.
Okay. Well, I saw the preview and it looks quite interesting. It seems like they're, as we mentioned before, this was the first time we're seeing the story not told directly from Claire's point of view. And it seems like we're going to be getting a little bit more of that in the mid-season finale where we see shots of Frank still in Scotland looking for Claire, who he believes ran off with her Scottish lover, who was the man standing outside their room in the first episode, who in the sketch looks just like Jamie, even though Frank didn't really see his face.
Which is interesting and probably something we'll have a lot more to talk about next week.
Yeah.
My question from the beginning has always been, as Claire has gone back in time, does time pass normally in the, quote, real world?
Yeah.
So that if she ever manages to get back, will it be several months later or years or whatever it ends up being?
That's a good question because you can even argue when we watched the first episode and we saw who now I mentioned it I think in that episode that I believed it was Jamie who was standing outside.
Yeah,
Clearly he time traveled not within the present time that he was at because he's seen Claire before he even meets Claire. So there could be some weird time jumping crap going on.
yeah, like maybe they come back together. So I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out. I sort of enjoy being along for the ride. So it's fun. We'll probably, as we keep saying in every episode, we have the books but haven't read them. I feel like by the time the mid-season, like the next half season starts up, we'll probably have read the book. Do we know when that is?
As of right now, it only says 2015.
Okay, so my guess is probably in the between February and May.
Yeah,
Well,
like I'm probably gonna say like they're gonna probably go like earlier, like either February, March.
or like January, like when all the other shows are off the air for a month.
Yeah.
That's likely, I would say. Or
Like,
they're gonna pull it really far and wait until summer.
I don't think so because Black Sails comes back, so I think maybe once Black Sails is done.
That makes sense. Well, we will find out. Next week is the mid-season finale, so
Yeah.
it'll be our last Outlander episode.
Yes.
But it also means that we will pick a new one show, and we've already done that. We've decided to do Once Upon a Time. Yay! No one can see the face that you're making because you're not
I
making.
know, but you can.
So we've decided to do Once Upon a Time. I think it does fit with this this Outlander thing that we've been doing. We have a lot of feminist issues, a lot of social problems, a lot of stuff to talk about. There's always a lot to talk about with Once Upon a Time. And for me, anyway, a lot of chances to piss off a fandom because I tend to get into fights with certain.
She causes a lot of drama with the Once Upon a Time with the Oncers.
I do cause a lot of
You're
drama
gonna feel like it's a weird.
because I am a Once Upon a Time fan. I'm just not a crazy fangirl.
Yeah.
So there are.
Hate mail. We're probably gonna get hate mail.
We're gonna get death threats.
Yeah. The reason we do this is because we're too lazy to actually sit down and write a recap. So we're like, let's just talk about it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. We always talk about this stuff anyway, so we might as well get these talking points out in the open right now. It's far more entertaining when there's some back and forth.
Yeah.
So next week we will actually have 2 episodes of the show. We will have one on Wednesday at 6. We have not, which is this one. The final Outlander episode will be next Wednesday at 6 o'clock on Google Hangout. We will, of course, share the link as we do every week, and it will be up on YouTube immediately following the show. And then the second episode will be at some point after that fact. Whether it will be immediately following on Wednesday night at 7 or if it will be on Thursday night at 6, we have not yet decided. And we will let all of you know.
You know you're all dying to find out.
You know you're all dying to find out. There's so many of you. And I do hope you guys have been enjoying our Outlander discussions and that you will enjoy our Once Upon a Time discussions when they happen.
There's going to be a lot of me wishing Graham was back. It's going to be a lot of...
There's going to be so much wishing Grant was back. From me, I'm kind of like, meh.
Yeah, and you're going to be like, just shut up and get over it. I'm going to be like, I'll never get over it. My heart is broken.
And yeah, so that will be next week. This has been a very short episode because there really wasn't a ton to talk about. Is there anything we didn't hit that you wanted to discuss, Kate?
No, I think we're good.
That's it. All right. So this has been Outlander, episode 7, The Wedding. Next week you can join us for episode 8, which I don't remember what the title is, but will be the final mid-season episode of Outlander, and then for Two Chicks One Show, episode 9, which will be season 4, episode 1, When Frozen Comes to Storybrooke. I
think it's like the Tale of Two Sisters or something, like the title.
I think it's just called Two Sisters.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's a Frozen episode.
Then to Claire and to Jamie, now that they are both Claire and Jamie Fraser. And we will see you all next week. So long. Thank you for joining us.
Goodbye.